evaluation tabs and then provide your point system. Ultimately, we'll walk everyone through this if you do, want to be part of the pre-qualification subcommittee itself. So I know that was a lot of information in a short period of time, but does anyone have any questions in regards to that process and what that means? Okay, so I know Dan definitely wants to be a part of our pre-qualification subcommittee. And so I was going to see, Bev, I don't know if you want to ask if anyone else wants to be a part of that subcommittee, because ultimately we should do a vote for the subcommittee as far as allowing them to approve the request for qualifications as far as what gets posted in the central register, the local ad, and the local newspaper as well.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I'd be glad to. And I will say, Dan, you would be the first name that I wanted to bring up for this committee. And I'm glad that you want to serve on it, because your expertise in this area with all the things that you do in your office really, I know how helpful you were with Higgins, and with this one, we definitely want you on that. Is there anyone else that would like to serve on this committee? I honestly feel that having Dan on there, he would serve as our member from the owner's side, but I would be willing to ask if anybody else would like to serve. And I will preface that knowing you're all afraid to volunteer after I've roped you into different subcommittees here. This is a good one. You saw the schedule. It's very well planned out. And with this application that you have, the app, that really sounds like something that would help the process move along very quickly. Because I know for all of the members, it's difficult with timelines and everything because of everything else that they have to work on and deal with. So that being said, would anyone else like to serve from our side?
And Bev, just so you know, the committee is made up of members from the owner, the OPM, the designer, and the CM. And I believe the requirements on the owner side, at least one.
Right. That's the thing. I mean, folks, just so you understand, you're going to be in with people who can really help, guide us through this process.
Yeah, Bev, if I could just to quickly jump in,
Sure.
When we did Higgins, that was a long time ago, and everything really wasn't automated, and there was a lot of legwork, and there was a lot of heavy lifting from the city. So this is a far more streamlined process. Dawn Whittier and Danisco and Consigli will probably do most of the references, et cetera. So it's really just providing your overall understanding and maybe some kind of what we did for selecting Consigli, right? So there's not a lot of lifting. It's really just being available to evaluate. Mike, or Christine, I don't know if you want to add, but it's probably just a few meetings more than having to make phone calls and everything else.
Yeah, we take care of the references. We won't put that on anyone from the committee process. And yet, to Donna's point, it's only probably like 3, maybe 4 meetings tops in that time frame, which is, from December through February, if you call it that. And so I would say it's not a huge lift.
And I don't want to volunteer anyone, but those that might be familiar with construction, that might be, someone that would be great to have on the committee, and or anyone that's going to sort of be involved during the construction.
Hey, I'll throw my hat in the ring on this one. This is Jim Hayden.
Sorry, Jim.
Okay, Jim.
I see where we're going.
Just for everybody's benefit, our experience with pre-qual is it's basically an issue of exceptions rather than a lot of them will go right automatically into the pool. Where we have issues is people who are right on the cusp of hitting the number for pre-qualification, or any company that is not going to make it, and fending off any possible protest. For the most part, it's an automatic. The only issue I see is lack of participation in certain trades where there aren't that many in the pool to begin with. And then how do we deal with those? But we'll talk about that in our organizational meetings. And I really do value Consigli's input on what they want to see out of pre-qualified trade contractors and any input they have from their experience, because we've not had that benefit before of having a CM on board. So.
Exactly. That's the thing, Dan. This process really looks very very encouraging, and you're a point guy on this. And Jim, I'm glad that you stepped forward, because I was giving casual glances at your name and at Ed Colbert and Al Tallarico, thinking, all right, you guys have some expertise in this area, which would be really good. But so everyone knows, we're going to have all of the backup here on that subcommittee, because everyone involved in this project is going to have input. So I would say, if anybody else from the owner side wants to volunteer, I'm opening that up if anybody wants to, because these things really are a lot of fun, and I want to make sure people enjoy what they're doing. But I also feel very confident that we have Dan and Jim representing us in those meetings, because we also have Doran Whittier, we have Danisco, and of course we've got Consigli, all people who know what we're looking for, and they do this. They know the contractors. This is going to be a very good process.
I think we're good with having Jim and Dan's input, Bev. I think that's great that we have two members from the owners team. And so,
yeah,
ultimately I have no, I think we're going to have no issues whatsoever, and it's going to, be a streamlined process.
Oh, good. Christina, do you need a vote just of the committee on the owners representatives, or did you want to formulate the full committee with the representatives from each of your, from Doran Whittier and Danisco and Consigli, and then take a vote on the complete makeup, or how did you want to work that?
Yes, the complete makeup. I think we should just identify names for the entire committee and then vote to approve them, to not only empower them to, do all the approvals required through the process, but ultimately to submit the final recommendation in terms of who's in and who's out.
Okay, very good. All right. If you want to go through that list and name those folks, and then we can prepare to make a motion and take that vote, go right ahead.
Sure. So I think for Doran Whittier, it'll be myself. For Danisco Design, who would you like to put on the committee, Donna?
It's going to be Donna. Yep.
Okay. So Mike Burton, Donna Danisco. From Consigli, Todd, will that be you? Or Christy?
No, it'll be me, Christy.
Okay, so Christy Lyons from Consigli. And then from the owner's side, I think what I heard was Dan Doucette and Jim Hafey.
Absolutely. Right. Okay, well, I'm going to entertain a motion appointing Dan Doucette, Jim Hafey, Mike Burton, Donna Danisco, and Christy Lyons to serve as the Pre-Qualification Subcommittee to complete the pre-qualifications and to submit their recommendations at the appropriate times. Would anyone like to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. And can we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, was that Carrie Ann? Thank you. All right, is there any other discussion on the motion? Okay, and just before we proceed, I have a telephone number, but I don't know who it is. It's if 413-461-5233.
That's Joe Scanlon, Bev. I think he's trying to get his audio connected.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, because Joe, I wanted to see if it was a voting member, and it is. Joe is a voting member. All right, I'm going to run through the, we'll do the vote. Okay, Ed Colbert, this is on the motion.
Yes.
Thank you. Jim Hafey.
Yes.
Okay. Beth McGivern.
Yes.
Okay. Let's see, Kara Migliosi.
Yes.
Thank you. Michelle Manassa.
Yes.
Carrie Ann Wheeler.
Yes.
Okay. Joe Scanlon.
Yes.
Thank you. And Pete McGinn.
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. So that's a vote. Congratulations to our subcommittee and thank you for serving. We appreciate this. Okay. I think we can move into the next agenda item. And will that be?
Yeah, we're going to go to the design update. And so
Okay,
I'm going to walk through these slides with you.
Sure.
Great, thank you, Bev.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jeff. Sorry.
That's okay. I'll handle this one.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. Okay.
All right, good morning, everyone. As we're nearing the end of the design development phase, the production of that phase, it's where we work to further develop the design, kind of detail the building, and then also refine the scope in preparation for the cost estimate, which will start at the end of next week. And throughout the design development phase, we've met with the school department, IT, the police and fire departments, public services, and Parks and Rec. And facilities and purchasing have been present in every step of the way there. So thank you to Jim and Dan for that. So we have prepared a couple of brief site plan updates and floor plan updates, and also some updated interior views, which correspond to what we looked at during schematic design. The scope of the site improvements has not significantly changed since schematic design. The site work is directly related to the work that's going to be performed inside the building, and then also to bring the walkways, parking, and play areas into compliance with MAB. As you can see here, the layout of the site will not substantially change. Additionally, as the basketball court will be used for contractor laydown space during construction, it'll have to be restored after the project is completed. And during design development, we worked with Parks and Rec and the school to add additional game lines there for maybe some additional sports such as futsal. We've also reviewed the site plan and site signage plan with public services, and they've taken a high level look at that. And they will also explore the possibility of potentially supplementing some of our work on site to make some improvements. Next, please. As a reminder, this is the view of the first floor plan. The overall building organization remains the same as we previously discussed, with the general academic spaces shown in the light purple, organized in different quadrants of the building. The cafeteria and kitchen are shown to the left of the core in orange. The gymnasium is shown in red to the right side of the core, and the media center is located in the center core of the school in gold. The new administration spaces, including the general office, nurse, and trauma specialist, are located in green in the front of the school. And during design development, we've worked to pick up some efficiencies in the layout within the building footprint. And I'm happy to report that we've managed to reduce some of the mechanical areas and also give that back as program space. One of our main focuses has been working on the design of the corridors, which we'll review some renderings in a couple slides. Our goal is to activate the corridors so that they serve as both a means of circulation, but also as a functional space, similar to how the school is doing now. Next, please. This is a view of the second floor plan. The arrangement remains unchanged with grades 4 and 5 to the left and right, and all the special education spaces centrally located in that darker purple to easily serve all the students. Next, please. This is the first look that we're giving of the main lobby of the new renovated school in the quote unquote addition portion of the building. And this is a view right inside the main doors looking from west to east. To the right-hand side of your screen, you can see the main office desk open to the corridor and a door into the main office. With this arrangement, you can see that who's ever in the main office can interact with visitors without those visitors actually needing to physically enter the main office. Beyond that wall, you can see the wall of the new conference room. This wall provides an opportunity to make a statement within the new lobby. Here we're showing some mixed media with tile, wood, and graphics. And in our discussion with the school, the intent is for this wall to reflect the multitude of cultures within the Welch school community. So that's kind of how we're developing this feature wall. At the top of the wall, we have the opportunity to bring some borrowed light into that interior space from the conference room. And then opposite that, on the left-hand side, we have a large wall for marker board and tack board space to allow for the lobby to be personalized. You can also see beyond kind of where those kids and the teacher are, the corner of the library beyond. So the library space this goes from being in the back of the building to having a presence in the public front of the building. Next, please. This is a view standing at that first main intersection there, looking back towards the new front doors of the school. It shows some of the new tile patterns that we're studying, and also shows that we'll have the ample opportunity to provide tack surface, similar to the existing corridors, that will allow the teachers and students to be able to personalize the space. Next, please. This is a view outside of the library classroom area, just outside the gym, and again, it shows kind of the tile patterns that we're studying that have been inspired by the bold graphics painted around the existing Welch school. Next. This is another view further down the main corridor, where the corridor is a little bit wider than the typical existing corridor. And here we have the opportunity to provide some programmatic elements on both sides. To the left, we're planning a flexible space that's comprised of some storage units and a long continuous counter. And this area can be used for display of student work, but also interactive projects, such as science projects, and if they're doing any growing of plants or have pets or things like that, they can be integrated into this area. But it's also flexible, so things can be changed out pretty easily. And to the right-hand side, you can see a series of marker boards and tack boards. And this area can be used either in conjunction with what's on the left or independently. And we're proposing that these boards be on sliding tracks, which would allow for ample storage behind them. And you can configure this area with shelves, bins, or hangers, and this would be a prime location for the lost and found as well. Next, please. This is a view of the library right off the main corridor. You can see the circulation desk located to the left. It's positioned to oversee both halves of the library. The stacks are located to the right, and then the project-based learning spaces beyond. And this is starting to show the different color studies that we're starting to have, and we'll review with the school going forward. Next, please. And this is a view of the general classroom. The general classrooms are generally unchanged from what we previously discussed. This is located right inside of the entry door from the corridor. You can start to see studies with different colors of accent wall, and all the furniture, and teaching wall and teaching desk area remain unchanged. Next. This view standing next to the window wall and the communicating door, looking back from left to right, you can see the one-on-one instructional area. Here we've shown it with, might do a fun accent color and a marker board area for the one-on-one instruction area. You can see the student cubby area back next to the main entrance as well. Over to the right is the teaching wall. And yeah, these are generally unchanged. Next.
So before we get into the next presentation by Consigli, we also wanted to let folks know that our FF&E consultants have been out, and we've been taking a look at the existing furniture and assessing what may or may not be reused. So after we get our design development documents out the door for cost estimating, we're going to have another meeting and review with the school and Josh to see what furniture, how the layout should work, and we'll kind of finalize that furniture package as well. We're kind of in this really fun phase also where we are looking at colors and materials. We're really trying to be mindful to specify material that is durable but not expensive. So you'll see a lot of tile, but we're looking at tile that is fairly economical just to kind of keep those costs down. Are there any questions at this point?
Yeah, I'm happy to take any questions on the design portion.
Yeah, before we proceed, I'd like to see if anybody has any questions. All right, I'll lead it off because I've been holding my breath. I wanted to exclaim when I saw that wall, when people come into the building with all of the greetings in the different languages, that is wonderful. That is really, really nice. And I also like the way you worked in the Welch teal in the classroom when you showed that. The color was in the one-on-one area and inside of one of the, I couldn't quite tell what it is, but it's an indentation in that. And that's very nice too. There's a lot of nice touches. Yeah. And this is good too with that tile wall. I know you were trying to give some privacy to people that would be in that conference room. Is that why you put the tile there?
So correct. If you remember back to schematic design, we'd had some windows down at
Right.
you know, 4 or 5 feet above the floor, and you know, based on feedback from the school, we decided we could improve upon that. And you're right, Bev. This is kind of taking cues from things that the school is already doing, and they do a really nice job. So we're not here to change anything to be radically different, but here to improve and supplement and elevate it as much as we can.
Oh, it's really nice. Would anyone else like to speak on this?
Beth, just a quick point. Administratively, I couldn't get to the presentation on the OneDrive, so if we could maybe just double check that so we have access to it. Thank you.
Okay. Was anyone else having trouble with that? I have trouble with it too sometimes.
I can look at the settings on it. I'm surprised. I apologize about that. I'm not sure what's going on with it. So let me take a look at it after this meeting and then I'll resend it out to everyone.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, I could get to everything else that for some reason the design presentation wasn't able to, just shows as an empty folder.
Interesting. Maybe there is an upload issue. So I will make sure I resend that out right after this meeting.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any comments or questions? Okay, if not, let's move on into the construction phasing.
We can't hear you. You're not muted. I don't know if it's just maybe your headset or something.
Can everybody hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah. Mhm.
That would be the headset unplugged.
Oh, goodness.
So good morning, everyone. Todd McCabe with Consigli Construction. I'm going to spend the next couple minutes talking some high-level phasing within the building. Not much has changed since we've presented this last time. As a matter of fact, nothing has changed. So I just want to remind everybody of the phases and really the overall construction schedule. High level, we're still planning a 16-month construction schedule, and we've broken it up into 4 primary phases. On the screen here is phase 1, and this is really our longest phase. It focuses on the core or the addition of the building, the central core of the building, and some classrooms down on the first level on the southeast corner. Next. Phase 2. At the end of December 2022, will run through April 2023, as it says here. And here we will primarily focus on the first and second level classrooms in that back corner of the building for these 4 months or so here. Phase 3, we've broken up into 2 phases. Here you have phase 3A. And this, again, primarily focuses on first floor classrooms and the vertical access within that back central core area. The reason we've identified the vertical access is that the elevator is going to take a little bit longer than we can do during the summertime. So we're looking at getting into that elevator space probably after April vacation and working that through till the end of August. Phase 3B is really focused in the summer of 2023. And this, with some additional classrooms on both the first and second level, primarily focuses on the spaces that do not have swing space. So cafeteria, kitchen, and the gymnasium. These are obviously spaces that if and when under construction, you don't have another space to send the children and staff. So this is work that really needs to be done during the summer. And then the final phase, which is the shortest of our phases, is the first floor 4 remaining classrooms that will take us from the end of August, essentially the beginning of school of 2023, and through the end of October 2023, which will be turning the building over. So again, very high level, but I think you've all seen this before. As I said, just some of the primary takeaways: 16th month construction schedule, 4 major phases, with 1 phase being broken up strategically in the summer of 2023, just due to the lack of swing space for those programs. Any questions with regards to that?
No.
Again, I think you've all seen it before, so.
Yeah, the general thought was just in case, some members couldn't join in the last couple meetings, just to make sure everyone's on the same page as far as our schedule and what it looks like.
Absolutely. Makes perfect sense. Okay, thank you, folks.
Thanks, Todd.
All right, Bev, I'm going to go into the next item on our agenda, which is our project schedule.
Very good.
So everyone's familiar kind of where we are within our process. And so this is something, to Todd's point, you've all seen before, but we're just reminding everyone where we are currently right now. And we're currently kind of in between module 5 and module 6, which we're anticipating city council and finance approval on 11/9 for us to proceed with the project. So hoping to hear some good news following the 11/9 City Council and Finance Committee meeting. And, as you know, Danisco Design is currently in detailed design. And so I will get more high level into what kind of detailed design looks like for us, as well as for this committee, as far as upcoming meetings and what our schedule is going to be through the rest of the year, really. And so, as I said, the funding the project phase, that's what we're on now. which is the 120 days that we have from MSB in order for us to receive that approval from the city itself. And so, like I said, we're hoping to hear good news following the 11/9 meeting, and I'm sure everyone will send out a note to everyone once we follow that date as far as the outcome.
And just so everyone knows, the MSBA did approve the schematic design submission.
Yes.
So that was really good news. That was last week. So.
Yeah, the actual board meeting, correct.
Have one thing we want to coordinate with the mayor is who's to show up at the council to represent the project.
Mm-hmm.
You know, do we want someone from Danisco? Do we want someone from OPM? You know, all that. So we can work on that between now and the 9th. But I think that's and is it in person? Is it virtual? All these little twists and turns. But we want to have a good presence, but not. I don't think we have to go overboard.
Right. No, it's a good point, Dan. Thank you. You know something, we can do that one offline, and I welcome any members of the committee who would like to attend the meeting. Please feel free to do so, because the meetings are taking place in person and online. And as Dan said, we don't have to overwhelm the council with a presentation, but they will want to have the ability to ask some questions of the key players who have all the information about the project, and also showing support for the progress and the process is always a great thing for anyone to do. So always feel welcome to attend that meeting. It is this coming Tuesday, and the council, we're hopeful that it will be a positive vote in favor of the funding, and then the project will really move forward.
Yeah, Bev, we'll look to you to reach out to us and let us know whether or not you want us to attend that meeting.
Okay. Oh yeah, definitely. We want someone from each of the groups just to come with us.
Okay, thanks.
You never know what question might come up, and that's the thing. Being able to have everyone there it would be helpful to have at least one person from each organization.
Understood.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to go back to my other presentation real quick, just to kind of go through our milestone schedule. And so, as you know, we're in design development. We're looking to develop our cost estimates starting 11/15 through 11/30. Looking to do our cost estimate reconciliation from 12/1 to 12/7. Following the reconciliation, if we have to exercise value engineering, we would have a working group set up for 12/7. And then we would be meeting with the mayor and the executive team on 12/10 to ultimately present the information from the reconciliation and where we are with our cost estimate. We'll then be coming back to the SBC for our next meeting on 12/16 to approve that DD cost estimate, and for us also then to submit the design development estimate as well as deliverables to the MSBA from 12/17 to 12/21. The MSBA will then review our DD submission from 12/23 to 1/12. And then also, just as a note, during that time, Danisco will be submitting the notice of intent to the Conservation Commission on 12/9 as well. So just kind of a high level schedule as far as where we are within our DD phase of the project, and just so that this SBC is aware of just some upcoming meetings and important dates. We'll make sure to work with our team to set out our next meeting invite, and then just letting everyone know for those subcommittee meetings that we might need to exercise for value engineering, as well as that executive working group meeting.
Very good.
I have a couple of comments, if I could, please.
Sure, Dan.
Christina or Mike, does this take into account the MSBA's concession concerning extra review?
Yeah, I'm going to speak to that in a moment. In fact,
okay.
probably on the next slide, but yes, it does.
Okay, and second, go back if you could please to the slide.
Oh yes, sorry.
The value engineering, would that entail any possible alternates?
It could.
Because
So,
I think
go ahead, Dan.
I strongly encourage the use of add alternates if we have some things that we could upgrade for things. And again, those are those sort of fall through value engineering, but we don't want to necessarily lose some of them. So I just want to make sure that we don't lose sight of the fact that alternates can be used and may help us. And finally, on costs, I'd like to raise the possibility, as we did with Higgins, that we recommend to the mayor a increase in the FF&E budget to get to good materials and products as opposed to what we can afford within the 1,200.
I think that's a good idea.
I can respond real quick. Heard on the FF&E budget regarding the list of alternates. We're based on the list that we studied at schematic design. There were clearly some alternates that were unattainable, and we removed those from the list. But there were a series of alternates that had beneficial impact on the project that we will leave on our list of running all add and deduct alternates going forward. So as the budget comes more into focus, we can select from that list. So yes, we're planning on carrying those forward through design development.
Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate that.
Okay. Before we move on, I do have one thing that I want to just back up for a second, as far as who to bring to the city council meeting. I apologize. Pete McGinn is our resident expert and will give us good advice on who we should bring to the meeting and what type of information the council will be looking for. So Pete, I'm going to give you a call. We're going to put you in that call to find out what you folks might be looking for, if that's okay with you.
Sure, yeah, that's fine.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I thought I couldn't see you on the participant list when I was thinking of it. I said, oh, goodness. All right. So thanks a lot, Pete. Okay, please proceed.
Yeah, so just there's a couple of things at the end of this presentation. And again, I apologize that there was a problem with uploading the file to the FTP folder. I'll make sure that it gets uploaded correctly after the meeting. But we have for you kind of a high level breakdown.
Actually, Christina, can I just interrupt you? I actually remedied that by going into with a different browser. So that's a non-issue.
Oh, okay. All right, great.
Thank you.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of information here as far as our procurement schedule for our early release packages, number 1 and number 2. We've broken it out into kind of this detail so you can see as far as what that pre-qualification means for us in order to get these subs pre-qualified. And also these early release packages are very important to our project with us seeing and working with Consigli and Danisco that the market trends that are ongoing right now and some of the long lead times that we're seeing in the field as far as construction and materials will lead to our tight schedule. And so this is something we've been working on for some time with our project team as far as breaking out these early release packages and what it means for maintain our schedule. And so Mike, I don't know if you want to touch high level on what Dan was talking about as far as the MSBA in that process.
Sure. Yeah, so what's on the screen here sort of represents some of the orange lines sort of represent the typical MSBA deliverables. And what we're challenged with here is, the effects from COVID are sort of twofold. Number one, material cost increases, which we hope to have mitigated those issues at our SD estimate. And we'll again take another look at the DD estimate. And the second issue is really the long lead times that we're seeing right now. For example, metal decking is taking 2 to 3 times longer than it used to. And so looking at that, understanding the market conditions and looking at our schedule, we've identified 3 real components that we need to address. So there's some early procurement that we need to do. At the top, you'll see metal decking. That's something that we're going to be looking to purchase literally as soon as next week or the following. We're looking at generator release, and we're working with Dan Doucette on that. And then we have our early release package number 1 and number 2, and you can see the items that are included in that. And we're doing this all to support the start of construction in June. During the completion of the construction documents, there's 2 submittals that are required by the MSBA. There's a DD submission, which we spoke about, and then there's a 60% and a 90% submission. What this does is it sort of bogs down the team to a certain extent in terms of, producing the 60 and 90% deliverables, going through the estimates, going through the reconciliation, and it's very time consuming. And we're trying to, Danisco is doing their very best to get these documents done as soon as possible. So we approached the MSBA and essentially asked them for a revision to their typical process. And we essentially said, instead of a 60 and a 90%, could we do a 75% submission? This is sort of outside of the lines, and they don't want to set precedent on this project, but this is a very unique project. Being a phased occupied renovation, it sort of stands alone as it relates to other MSBA core projects. And ultimately, the MSBA did agree that they were going to forego the 60% submission. We were going to submit reconciled estimates at what we're calling 75%, and then we'll have a typical 90% submission minus the estimates. And so with all this, this allows the team to be more efficient, focus on completing the documents, and we're extremely thankful that the MSBA, number one, listened to our request and ultimately did approve it. And so some of the members on this committee were copied on that email from the MSBA. And, with the permission of this committee today, I'm going to respond and graciously accept their offer to modify their typical design submissions. And so it's all good news. Very, very thankful to all of the MSBA staff for working with us on this project. And it's really great news. So let me pause right there and see if there's any questions. And if not, with the permission of this committee, I'm going to respond today to the MSBA, thanking them, accepting what they have proposed. I have updated a schedule based on this revised procedure, if you will. I've reviewed it with Danisco and Consigli. We are all on the same page. And again, this is great news for the project.
Just so everyone knows, it really is amazing. Following through with this this process, the discussions that went on with the MSBA, and the explanation of the need for this was really extraordinary. MSBA had a lot to decide about whether to proceed with that, and so having their permission to do it this way is really very, very helpful to the project because of all of the parts that are unique about this, but also because of current costs and current delivery dates. And there were so many details that went into the request that went to the MSBA. It was a fascinating process, and it's really great that they agreed to this. So I would encourage everyone. This is very good, and I'm definitely in favor of Mike going forward and accepting the MSBA's offer on the new. I don't mean to say schedule, but it's a schedule of documents.
Yep.
Okay, if there are no other questions or comments. I don't see any. I think we can probably move forward.
Okay, and so just the last part of our presentation, this is kind of, as Mike was saying, at every deliverable and every step of the process, not only does the OPM Doran Whittier need to put together a detailed schedule, but also so does the construction team, as well as Danisco with kind of a work plan. And so this is their designer work plan, if you will, that highlights specifically where we are within each phase and module, but also what are the meetings that are upcoming. And so I ask that anyone from this committee, if you have any questions in regards to upcoming dates, please review the presentation as well as any information that's on the FTP that outlines kind of our upcoming schedule and important milestones as well.
And also so that members know, a little survey is going to come out with the next email, just checking in with you folks regarding our monthly Welch School Building Committee meetings. We want to make sure that that's working for your schedules. And I know it's difficult, especially sometimes we have to change the meeting date as we did this time, just because we wanted to make sure we had really good up to the minute information for you at this meeting. But we are going to check just to see if the date and the time work for you, and meeting may get adjusted. I don't know, but I just want to have a poll go out there. Rachel prepared one, and thank you, Rachel. And we will get that out to folks just to check on, scheduling. When we originally started, if you can remember, we were meeting Welch and we planned a 9:30 meeting so we'd avoid the traffic, the building, and things certainly changed the virtual world. So just want to check in. Thank you.
That's all we had for today, Bev.
Okay. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to add? All right. Well, I'd like to thank you all for attending, and our next meeting is December 6th. I'm sorry, December 16th. Gosh, the months are flying. As always, if you have any questions or concerns, reach out to me or any member of the committee, and we'll get right back to you with whatever you need. And I'd take a motion to adjourn.
Moved.
Thank you, Michelle. And is there a second?
Second.
Thanks, Ed. All right, everybody. Thank you, and we'll see you soon. And all of you take care.
Thank you all.